We're now live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. What's up, fam? Guys, like and share this feed on Instagram, YouTube, we're on Facebook right now, all three platforms, guys. We're going live. Today's Wednesday, as you know, is Boss Up Talk Wednesday, and we got a good topic today. What up, fam? All right, she's coming on live with me, Natalie. All right, guys. Like and share this feed. We're going live right now. Natalie's online. Natalie is super
Hey,
prepared for this
hey,
person. Natalie has
what's
her headphones ready,
up,
all her headphones, all her gadgets, so she is definitely ready to go.
now this thing want to act crazy and not connecting. Hey, everybody, how y'all doing today? It's
It's
Wisdom
me, my
Wednesday.
headphones.
Also Talk Wednesday.
That's funny. All right, here we good to go. We're live. Okay, good. There we go. Can you hear me, Natalie?
IG is acting slow.
Oh no, it's me. Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. What up, fam, guys? Like and share this feed on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Uh, you already know it's Wednesday, so it's Boss Up Talk Wednesday. It is always such a press to get live. It seems like nowadays, since I'm back working, it's definitely busy season with Mother's Day and so many different events going on. And we outside, it's summertime, so definitely getting ready to travel a lot more. And we want to just kind of really encourage entrepreneurs as we do every single week with something always dope. And the topic today is giving yourself grace to trust the process. Giving yourself grace to trust the process. And I was reading, I think it's Hebrews, and it was talking about how we have to enter the rest, right? So, as a lot of you guys know about, the beginning of the Bible, it talks about, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He took 7 days, 6 days to build, and then the last day he did what? He rested, right? So we're just talking about that part is when it comes to us, after he finished that, he said how good everything was. And then when he rested, it goes to the point of what Jesus with it's finished, right? So now, how does that relate to us? It is finished. How does it relate to us with rest? It relates to us because a lot of times we talk about like faith without works is dead. You got to show up and do this. You got to do this. You got to do that. And sometimes the thing you really have to work to do is work to rest, right? And sometimes you have to give yourself grace to trust the process. And what that means for me specifically is I always have a lot of grand ideas and things, right? And what happened is I've learned how to really trust the process and give myself grace to be like, hey, Jay, it's okay. Right. Sometimes when you're really on your journey of success and your journey of life, things will always come to really take you off your game, take you off your focus. And sometimes it does work, where sometimes it's like, oh, man, I messed up today. Oh, man, I really wish I could have did this better today, And I realized that, Jay, give yourself grace to trust the process. Like you already know that you're designed to be a winner. You already know that you're designed to win. You already know that you're an overcomer. You already know that God promised you A, B, C, and D. So listen, you already know what's going to work out for your good. So in the midst of it, give yourself grace of the things you did not do and trust the process to know that whatever didn't work out is going to work out tomorrow, is going to work out the next day, but just give yourself grace that you know that everything is going to work out in your favor.
Man, we starting off strong. Hold on. We starting off like this, huh? Strong. Let's get into it. I love this title. Give yourself grace to trust the process. And sometimes it's like you need both of them to go together. You need to give yourself grace, but you need to give yourself grace to trust the process that you're going to get the end result. So even though a lot of the times you may find yourself up against opposition or obstacles, trust the process. That means you will get through the opposition. You will get through the obstacles to the other side if you maintain momentum. And part of that momentum requires you to rest. Now, you went back to the Bible, and that's my favorite place to be and land and come up out of, because you said God went through He created the process for us. He created the framework or the blueprint for us. And he spoke and worked with his words for 6 days. And on the seventh day, he rested. Now, did God need to rest? No, he didn't. The Bible also says God neither sleeps nor slumbers. So if God does not sleep or slumber, that means rest. If he doesn't need to rest, why did God rest on the seventh day? After the seventh day, there was a thing where he said, before the seventh day, on the sixth day, he created man. He said, let us create man in our own image, in our own likeness. So he's pretty much laying out the framework, the blueprint, the process for us, where 6 days of work, 1 day of rest, because we are the ones that require the rest, not him. We are the ones that need to go through the process, but also rest, because it's in the rest in which we grow. I heard today, it's so funny that I heard this today from, I believe it was Myron Golden. He said that when we're exercising, we are tearing down muscles. It is only in the rest are the muscles able to build up and grow. And he says mentally, the same thing happens. When you are mentally at work and doing, you're tearing some things down. You're tearing down mindsets. You're tearing down strongholds. But it is in the rest that the new mindset is being built up. So we have to have that give and take. We have to trust the process and implement rest within the process, because we'll always be tearing down and we won't give ourselves an opportunity to rest and build and grow.
That's good. I was looking up the word graced and grace, and it's simple elegance or refinement of movement, right? And to me, like I love, for example, is when I'm actually doing like different lessons for like knife skills. You know, oh chef, you cut so fast. How do you do that? It wasn't always like that. My knife cuts was raggedy. I used to cut chicken cock-eyed and cross-eyed and all the stuff like that. And what happened was I had to be coachable first off. I always had these older guys at my job in the kitchen. Like, they always wanted to, like, I was like, because I was so eager to learn, they all took time with me. All the guys that worked at my job, and they all showed me their own unique way, right? So what happened is when you're really going through life and you're really you're building up your tenacity, you're building up your strength. What happens is during a process, it's easy to become frustrated. You know, there's times where I became really frustrated with myself because I couldn't get the knife cut right, or I couldn't fillet this right. You know, and sometimes I had to really take a step back to say, Jay, you already know you're gonna knock this goal out, right? So give yourself grace. And what happens once you take a step back from a situation and you really look above it and you start to really see, like, okay, you know that this is the step, this is where we got to go. So let's make slower pace movements. So when you're moving, you move so graceful, right? And as I started to really give myself like patience with myself, because I know I'm gonna achieve it. Like there's no question about am I gonna achieve goals or not, because I'm very goal oriented. I'm gonna knock it out. But sometimes the process to get from beginner, intermediate to to advance, it takes time. Where sometimes you're like, wait, hold on, I seem like I can't get it. Stop allowing yourself to be frustrated. Take a pause. Take a breath. Just take a breath, right? Recollect. All right, you know what? Let me change my words. You know, I'm going to accomplish this goal. I'm going to be successful in this. And sometimes while you're changing your word, it allows yourself to give yourself grace that as you move on to accomplish other goals, the process becomes smoother. Like when you think of the word grace, it's refinement, it's smoothness, it's just a dope vibe. You know, when some like Natalie is graced to be a business coach. She's graced to talk about clarity. She's graced to talk about being a mom CEO, because she's not only lived it, she's given herself the opportunity to grow throughout the process. So when Natalie talks about this stuff, she does it in a way where like, oh man, she knows what she's talking about, because she's given herself time to trust the process, and she's done it graciously by giving herself grace. So now when she talks about the stuff effortlessly, it just comes out. When you talk to me about maybe a recipe, how to make a cake, right? I've made a lot of crooked cakes enough to know that, hey, let me really give myself patience. So because I gave myself grace to trust the process, now when I make a cake, now when I make something, it's such a really pretty situation, because I've taken time and I give myself grace to trust the process, to know that I'm going to accomplish the goal. I'm going to do well, but what steps do I take? And sometimes you got to realize that when you're so frustrated at something, it doesn't work out because you're not giving yourself the grace to trust the process. So sometimes you got to take a moment and say, hey, let me take a step back from this. Right now, I'm a little too aggravated. I'm a little too antsy. So let me slow down. So when I come back to the market, I'll have such a refined palette, a refined movement. So now people are like, oh man, you just came out the woodwork. No, I didn't come out the woodwork. I've been giving myself grace to trust the process. So when it's time for me to come into the light, now everybody sees how smooth it is, how perfected what I do is.
Oh man, and I put in the chat, you're the bomb at making money, not just recipes and chefing, at making money and surrounding yourself with millionaires. Okay, the amount of millionaires this man is surrounded by is crazy. I absolutely love it because you understood the principle of birds of a feather flock together. Like we say
Yes.
it that way, but the truth of the matter is when the people that you're surrounded by, you end up becoming. So he's like, if I'm going to be, surrounded by millionaires, that's where I'm going. That's who I'm going to become. So I love that quality in you. And I love that you said that it takes time and we don't give ourselves time to be perfected and to mature. We want to have it right away. We want it to be instantaneously. And it's not going to happen that way. It's not going to be, it can happen that way, just like, lottery winners win it. And they're like, ooh, it's an instant win, even though they've been playing the lottery for 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and people don't even look at that part. But they win that money. And because they have not perfected the art of money management, they lose the money as quickly as they get it. And on top of that, they end up in more debt after having the $1 million. Okay? Yeah. So it's not just about getting the stuff. It's about being perfected in the process. The process is not just for our achieving something and getting certain things. It's for our becoming. And you have to trust it. When I was pregnant, I thought about this as you were talking, and don't mind the noise in the background because my son is in the kitchen. When I was having kids, that very first one, I didn't trust the process. The doctor said you can have you can have it induced, and then as soon as you get induced, you're going to get the epidural. Dr. Steven, I remember his name. He was so good. I had no pain. The baby came early. It was all planned. But then the next one, I ain't had no Dr. Steven. I was in the military, we was somewhere else. And that was the first time I really felt contractions. And I didn't know what to do. I was freaking out. I was acting crazy. My husband would tell you I did some stuff that he's like, don't you ever do that again. But because I went through the process of knowing what it took to have a baby, understanding the pain, like it was fast. I think it was about 2 hours from the time that I had my first contraction to having the baby. So that's real quick. But there was some things that went through that process, and it was very painful that I didn't know that I was supposed to know. But because the first baby, I had no pain. I took the epidural right away. I didn't know what to do. But when the third baby came around, and he was it took an hour and 15 minutes from the time that I had contractions to the time that he was born. He was almost born in a car. I knew what to do. My body knew what to do. I had been through that process before, so that when I got there, I was able to push into the pain and have my baby without an epidural, and naturally, and the bounce back from having a baby naturally was a lot quicker than the first time when I thought it was easier because I had the epidural. But the bounce back, I was in a lot more pain after having the baby than during the baby. But when I had him naturally, it was so much easier. After the fact, the bounce back was easier. But let me tell you about number 4, because number 4 came.
I forgot you got a list. You got a list of kids.
I got a list. But this is the process, when you trust the process, because God gave us childbirth for a reason. Number 4 was overdue. And what was I doing? I was like, I want to feel the pain. I know what the pain feels like. I've been through it. I know that I can overcome it. And that's okay. It's going to be painful, but for a short time. But I want to feel this pain. I want the pain to come. She was 9 days overdue. 9 days is like an eternity when you are pregnant. I already went to 42 weeks and I had to go 40 weeks and I had to go to 42 weeks. I was like, this is crazy. Where do they do this at? But finally, I was able to get into a place where I was having this baby and the pain was coming. But y'all, that's not the worst of it. There was one doctor and there were about 7 people giving birth at the same time. The nurse started freaking out when the baby was coming out. They gave me an epidural, but I only had it on half of my body. So I could feel the pain still. And the pain was telling me that this baby is coming right now. And the doctor wasn't in the room. The people that were there with me started freaking out. They were like, the baby, I could see the baby's head. I could see her hair. What are we going to do? The nurse, who is trained to help people in this situation, started freaking out and saying, the doctor's not here. You're going to have to hold it. What do you mean I'm going to have to? How do you hold a baby that is wiggling her shoulders out to come out? But because I had been in this process before, because I understood the power of the pain, you know what I did? I put my hands down and I caught my own baby and I slid her out and I held on to her until the doctor was able to come back in. So this is what trusting the process looks like. You're not being put through this process because, oh, you're not good enough, or things are not going to work out the way it's supposed to, or, every time this happens, it's always happening to me. No, God is putting you in a position so that you can be acquainted with the process of becoming, so that you can be the person that when things happen, you're the one that's going to say, don't worry, the doctor ain't here. That's okay. The nurse acting a fool. That's fine. The people that's supposed to help me don't know what to do. I'm going to put my hands down and I'm going to catch this baby by myself. And I'm going to hold on to it until the people that are supposed to come help me come alongside of me. That's what you do with the vision. You hold on to the vision because it's too big for you to do it by yourself. But when the people that are called to you can't do it, trust me, I know what it's like. Building a business or building a ministry, and the people that say they was going to help you decide that they can't do it. I'm scared. You going to millions and billions of dollars. I don't know if I can do that. I'm scared. And they walk away from you. But God says, hold on to the vision, because there are people that are coming that's going to believe like you believe, and they're going to help you along the way. So the process, give yourself grace. Because the first time I didn't do it. The second time I was acting a fool in the hospital. The third time I still didn't get it. But the fourth time, my gosh, when that girl came, I was like, I got this, y'all. Don't nobody need to help me have this baby. I'm going to hold on until the doctor gets here. And that's all I have.
That's good. That's so good, because what happens is, I think you said a few different good points too, where sometimes you have this big idea, this big gift, and it's really meant to impact so many people, but everybody else is preoccupied to see the gift of what you have, right? So you literally have to work it until other people see it, right? And in those moments, you really are tested, because it's like, man, am I really supposed to be doing this? Am I really supposed to be doing that? So I want to give like 8 ways to trust the process, all right? So the first one is focus on the value that you are adding with what you're working on. What value are you adding? Is it just for you? Is it for others? Are you helping other people along the way? That's the first thing. Focus on the value that you're adding. If your goal is to be a millionaire, what service or product will you provide value that will generate that type of wealth? So if you say I'm gonna be a millionaire, okay, so is the value I'm adding, is it worth me saying I'm gonna be a millionaire? Because it has to be a reason or how you're gonna get there. All right. If you just focus on that value, other things will fall into line. The second thing is only worry about things you can control, right? There are certain things you cannot control, but there are some things you can control, like me and Natalie spoke about before, making up your bed in the morning. I love the reel you posted the other day. Like, that's something you can control. Secondly, I can control is, how does my shift look when I'm off of work? If I have 10 hours, if I work for 8 hours, what am I doing with the remaining hours of my day? Because some of those things I can control, right? And let's say if you're in a living situation that's not really comfortable, okay, I only got to sleep for 7 hours. I can go somewhere else. Let me go to Starbucks. Let me go to Starbucks and bring my iPad, use the free Wi-Fi, get a little snack, and let me study. Let me not worry about my space. I don't have a space to work out of. So what? Until you get a space, go to the library, go to Starbucks. Like, find a way to really control your atmosphere. The third thing is have faith in the unknown. There's a beauty in having faith in things you cannot see. Jesus talked about how blessed are those who do not see me and believe. You will start believing in something so strong that'll start to manifest, right? The unknown may be, I don't know how I'm going to make the million. I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills this month, but I know that I'm going to trust God to do exceedingly abundantly because it's in his word, right? So be okay. Act with confidence when you move. Make it seem good. Nobody ain't got to know that she ain't got it, right? First cake I made, I started selling them. People asked me about 20 different cakes. I said, I can make that. I can make. I had such a confidence that people believed me, but it made me believe myself. So when I moved in the season, everything came out to an expected end. Number four, use what you learn each step of the process. So in each process you go through, take notes. Like I love Natalie how she takes notes on everything, right? Because when you're going through your situation, you don't know when you got to go to that notebook and them notes and apply what you're learning. So oftentimes we want to write notes, but we never put action to the words on the paper. So when you start to really go through the process, use what you learn to study. It's like me going to college. The journey is the degree. The process is the degree to finish, right? So if I don't take anything from them 21 classes or the 8 classes I have to get the degree, why get the degree if I'm not going to take I'm not going to take what I learned and put it into play? If I'm in a culinary class and I learned about knife skills, I'm going to use those knife skills to finish the degree to take on afterwards, right? And then number five, practice gratitude. There's something about practicing gratitude when I feel as though things are tough or getting rough. The first thing I do is sow a seed, and the second thing I do is I change my word. God, I thank you for a brand new day. I thank you that I have clothes on my back. I thank you that my electricity is on. I thank you, God, that I have gas in my car. I thank you that I have clothes on my back. When you're going through the process, if you will adopt the attitude of gratitude, things will start to change, and you'll be so gracious that people will just start noticing your gratitude. Like, you know what? I just want to bless this person because they're so gracious at being grateful. Also, too, is you want to start number six, visualize success. There are so oftentimes we say we want to be a millionaire, we want to be this, but we never see it anywhere. So, for example, is when I was believing for my first private dining spot, I put pictures of it on the back of my laptop, on my steering wheel, so on my refrigerator. So everywhere I went, I started to see it. So this way, when it came to me manifesting, I already saw myself and I visualized the success. So when I visualized it, I said, okay, I want it to be high ceilings. I want it to be this. I want it to be that. I visualized that success, and it came to pass that not only did I get what I want, it was exceedingly abundantly, right? And now number seven, ignore the naysayers. Listen, you got to have a filter for negativity. Once you see somebody not believing how you believe, okay, I got to end this conversation, right? If you see family members not believing what you believe, like even to my mom, she has the best for me, but sometimes we differ with how we move. But I have to say, in this situation, I love you because I know you want the best for me, but I know the best for me in this situation is to move this way, not that way. It's nothing wrong where you have a difference of opinion from somebody, but know that in this situation, I have to go forth with what I know I'm called to do. And last but not least, embrace failure. When you are going through success, you have to embrace it, not sit in it, but just embrace it. Say, okay, you know what? Let me reflect on this failure. Today, I wasn't successful at getting 8 items done. But you know what, though? What can I do better tomorrow to make sure I get all 8 items done? Maybe I need to go to bed earlier. Maybe I need to spend only an hour on this. I got to monitor my time. So when failure comes, like, for example, Mother's Day is coming this weekend. And I said before this, one event where nobody showed up. It was embarrassing, but I didn't stop it. I embraced it. I learned from it. I started to edit my stuff better. I started to develop better networking skills. So I had to find ways to learn from the failure. So those are 8 steps to really pivot. So the first one was, here it goes. Focus on the value that you're adding. Second thing, you want to worry about the things you can control. Only worry about stuff you can control. Number 3, have faith in the unknown. Number 4, use what you learned during each step of the process. Number 5, practice gratitude. Number 6, visualize success. And number 7, ignore the naysayers. And number 8, embrace the failure.
That's so good. What do you want me to say after that? You done just shut it down. BN.
What you say?
I said, what you want me to say after that? You shut it down. BN. Like, you wrapped it up and summarized it so perfectly well. I love it. I love each and every one of these steps. And this is something that I know that I do. I'm going to write these down for myself, but this is something that I do. But I just never thought about it in this manner. And to be more intentional in doing all of these things is going to definitely help when showing up in the marketplace or in any space. And let me tell you something, that visualized success, that part is so huge, because if you don't know where you are going, you will go wherever the wind takes you. Especially as a visionary, visualizing where your success is, your ending point, your landing spot is so important, because we have so many amazing, wonderful, great ideas, and it comes so rapidly. But one thing I tell my clients is that the new great idea is always the killer of the old one. Okay, especially when the idea is still in idea phase, it's still in that conception phase. If you do not allow the idea to flesh itself out, like get to a place where it's matured and it can able to sustain itself on its own, then you will kill it with a brand new idea. How many times have we said, oh, I want to write a book, and you start writing the book, and then you be like, oh, I want to start a business, and you start a business, and then you're like, oh, I want to do this, and then you do that, and you forget the other thing that you were actually working towards, because you did not take time to flesh it out. One thing that's good about that, or one thing you could do, and you said it earlier, is write things down. Get a notebook. I have a notebook, and I know Josh does too. Actually have a binder, and every time I have a new idea, it goes in this binder.
That's good.
Every time I have something new, it goes in that binder, and I just write it down, because everything is not meant to be implemented immediately. Some things are seeds that need to be planted in the ground and take root before it's implemented. But if we don't take the time to do that, the new shiny thing is going to come and replace what you have been working on strategically. So take some time to sit down, to visualize, to write, to go through these steps, have a process. Listen, I love processes now, and I used to hate it, but I love it because it makes things so much easier. Not easier, it makes things simpler, and it's easier to scale when you have a process. It's easier to duplicate when you have a process. It's easy to repeat when you have a process. But when you don't have a process, you fly by the seat of your pants. Whatever comes, you're going to do. Whatever feels good, you're going to do. But when you have a process, you're actually going through particular steps. Even when it comes to implementing an idea, create a process for implementing an idea. When it comes to get coaching, create a process for coaching. I used to tell, I had to turn away a couple of people because I was like, you don't deserve coaching. They're like, what you mean I don't deserve coaching? You have not earned coaching. You have not implemented anything to earn the fact that you need to go to the next level to get a coach. That's how I had to deal with myself. I was the type of person, I love information. I love learning new things. And I would go from one coach to the next, and I have not implemented anything. And so I put a process in place until X, Y, and Z. Then you can get another coach. Then you can say, I have earned the right to go to the next level by getting another coach to take me there. So put some processes in place that will help you, and be gracious with yourself in the process. If it's taking longer than you think it should, that's okay. The process is there. It's going to get you to the end result. And that's so good. This is good. Really, really good, Josh.
Yeah, I know. My homie, I don't know if she's on the live, Green Eye Ambition. We did a live a few months ago. She is the queen of processes and systems. I think she's amazing what she does. What she does is help people really entrepreneurs get their back office together to get process and systems. And honestly, the reason why a lot of us aren't successful because we don't have no setup. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have no setup, like it's great to wing it, but after winging it is over, you have to figure out, okay, what am I going to do next? Because if you have no plan, if you have no vision, it's so hard for you to really start to focus. I teach I've always taught students in culinary who have like disabilities as relates to attention. A lot of kids have problems with attention nowadays. It's, a lot of kids are classified, but it's also, if someone's classified, how do you teach them the accurate way so they can really learn? Because it's not always about what someone can't do, it's how I get you to can do based off applying simple principles, and I think too is when you're told you can't do this or your limitation this all your life, like when you come around me, we have to unlearn a lot of stuff because that just doesn't work for me. I don't believe I can't, I don't believe what people say I can't do. I don't even believe what I say I can't do because sometimes I know I'm limited to myself. So I'm like, once I see myself, I give you a good example. So I can't swim, right? And years ago, one of my friends, he passed away some years ago. He battled with cancer for a long time, right? So we're in Miami. He's like, let's do the jet skis. I'm like, nah, I'm good, bro. I can't swim. And then so he's like, bruh, the life jacket is on. So I get on there. And so I'm on like riding slow. I'm just trying to really get the hang of it, like going up a little bit on the water, going up a little bit. And I started getting nervous. And then I take a look at him all the way out there. His little body, because he lost so much weight, was just hopping up in the air on the waves. And I'm like, Jay, don't allow somebody to outlive you. So I said, okay, let me conquer this fear and let me just enjoy the process and let me enjoy the whole vibe. So once I really stopped saying what I can't do and I went out there and enjoyed myself, I had so much fun because I had so many limitations about the fear of drowning. Mind you, I got a life jacket on, and it's just like I just had this fear of it because, usually if I go to the beach somewhere, I'm like, I'm in the water, but I'm going where my 6'2" self can stay and not feel like I'm about to drown. Like I'm gonna go down like 5'9", maybe 5'8", where I can still feel like I have control. And what happens is you're gonna be in certain situations where like you're not gonna have control. So just enjoy the process and just create that skeleton of an itinerary of what you want to do, and then allow life to change it up a little bit. And I realize when life seems chaotic, I have to take a step back to be like, hey, yo, let me just chill out. Let me take a moment to regroup. Let me take a moment to regroup because it's like that what do you call that thing, that not a boomerang, you pull it back to go forward, slingshot. So like it's like a slingshot where sometimes you gotta take like 2 steps back, right? Get the stamina you need to go forward to be shot like a slingshot, but you have to take that moment to take a break. Sometimes you take a moment just to listen. Sometimes you take a moment just to hear what your body is saying to you. Like I went to the chiropractor yesterday because like I know I'm like, okay, Jay, you stand up a lot, you're doing a lot of stuff. It's time to get an adjustment because you can be working all weekend long and this is not going to work for you. So take time to listen, take time to really regroup and rebrand yourself. It's nothing wrong with taking a moment to pause. I think sometimes people think I'm gonna stop the momentum, but what if your momentum ain't really momentum? Because sometimes we think we're really doing something, and then we pause like, well, I really wasn't doing nothing. I was busy, but I was busy not being fruitful. I was being booked and busy, but I wasn't being booked and fruitful. So I learned that I have to take time to really plan and prep to reevaluate my life because I want to make sure that going back to that number one of that thing is who am I adding value to? Who is my gift going to expand and increase? So once you start to realize that your goal and your purpose and your vision is not just about you, you move differently. When you realize that, hey, like my goal is for who? Who am I creating this legacy for? Right? What do I want to be known as when I leave this earth? What do I want to be known as? Like, what do I want people to say when it's all said and done? What do I want my message to be? And once you start focusing on that, you start to see that, you know, the if what am I doing now that's really important? What are some things I can really reevaluate so I can start pivoting? Once you start to pivot, you'll start to see that, hey, you know what? I can really change this. I can really edit myself in this because when you give yourself grace to trust the process, things move differently. Life starts to change. What seemed frustrating before and gave you a headache and racked your brain is no longer stressful. You know, and I've learned that. When I used to do big gigs, I used to be so stressed out because I'd be cooking all this food last minute. I'm like, but Jay, you could have made your cheese sauce for your mac and cheese 3 days ago. You could have cut these stuff up 3 days before. You could have ironed this out the day before. But I had to get to the mindset say, Jay, you have to start really preparing to be successful. You don't visualize yourself being successful enough. Like, what is the bottom line number you need to be successful? So if you want to have like what I would do is if you want to achieve certain goals and dreams, I would say add up the lifestyle that you desire to live. Once you add up that lifestyle divided by 12 months, divided by once a week, divided by every day. So if your lifestyle says you need to make $800 a day, I'm gonna move like $800 a day. If my lifestyle says I want to have X, Y, and Z, I'm gonna make the movements that are required of me to achieve those levels of success. But it's up to you to trust the give yourself grace. Like if I know I got these big goals, I have to give myself grace to achieve this stuff and to pace myself throughout the process.
Wow, that's what's up. Look, I don't have nothing else. I think that was so good.
What
I don't
happened?
want to lie. I said I don't got nothing else. I don't want to lie and be like, all right, and start making up stuff. That was good. Give yourself grace to trust the process. Give yourself time to work the process out. I love that because the process takes time. If the process is a series of steps, then it's going to take time to get through all of the steps to get to the end result. So give yourself grace to take time and trust the process. That's all I got, Jay.
All right, now we out. So that's it. So guys, have a great week on purpose. If you need coaching, reach out to us. If you're in the Jersey area on Sunday, having a dope Mother's Day event. It's gonna be lit. Tons of food, nice vibe. It's gonna be really cool. It's always really dope. Even with this right here, what is the benefit of me doing this event? Like for me, I had someone tell me last year or 2 years ago that this was the last event they saw their aunt at. And I went back through videos and they had such an amazing time because their aunt passed. So for me, when I think about this Mother's Day event, is it my big money maker? No, because the price is lower, but I have to get out my own way because who's going to benefit from this event? Who's going to benefit from having this family time? Whose lives going to be changed? So I know that's a part of my gifting. So when you start to take time to evaluate everything that you have in your life and evaluate who is going to really benefit for what you have. And once I realized that for me, I don't even think I was going to stop at 10. We at year 13. So for me, it's like I'm going to keep doing what I'm called to do because it's not about me. Some things are not about you. Some things you cannot be lazy about because it's not about you. It's about who's affected by your yes, who's affected by your choice to get up today, who's affected by your decision to stay at home when you should really go out to work. Who is going to be lost by you not taking time to really go after your goals and your dream. So that's really it, guys. Have a great week on purpose. And join us next week. Watch the replay, send to somebody else. All right, have a good week.